Hi everyone, hope you're all having a wonderful day. Today we're diving into a tense, emotional twist. Jack discovers Tu Tien secretly visited a medical center for a mysterious illness. While she's stranded in the city with no money, no phone, and forced to sleep alone on the street, will she make it home safely? If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss the next episodes. Mr. Vin steps into the house quietly, closing the door behind him. The afternoon light from the yard falls in a narrow strip across the floor, stopping right at Jack's feet. "Hello, Jack," he says softly, setting a folder on the table. "These are the updated documents for the project." Jack nods, barely glancing at the papers. "Thank you, Ayana. Sit down for a bit." They sit facing each other. For a moment, it's just the sound of a chair scraping and the distant noise of a motorbike passing outside. Then Mr. Vin hesitates, fingers resting on the folder. "There's one more thing," he says. "About Ms. Ly Tu Tien." Jack's head lifts. His expression, calm up to now, sharpens. "What about her?" "We did what you asked," Vin continues. Checked her recent movements, asked around discreetly. He pulls out a small note. 2 weeks ago, she went to a medical center for an examination, 135 medical center. For a second, Jack doesn't react. Then the words hit. "Medical center?" he repeats. "She went for a checkup?" "Yes," Vin confirms. "It's in the system. She went alone." Jack stares at the table, thoughts racing. 2 weeks. That was right around the time she started looking tired, rubbing her arms, saying it was just the weather. "Why didn't she tell me?" he mutters. If it was something serious, did she hide it because she was scared? Or because she didn't want to bother me when the project was starting? The questions crowd his mind, heavy and sour. A dull ache settles in his chest. "I double-checked before coming here," Vin adds. After that visit, she still showed up at the farm, still harvesting, still working as usual. Nothing obvious. Jack forces himself to nod. "What about the company?" he asks, clinging to business like a lifeline. "As for work," Vin says, "everything is arranged as you instructed. Workers are satisfied, salaries are on time, benefits sorted. The Min Hung documents are all here." He taps the folder. Jack gives it a glance but doesn't open it. "Good," he says. "Send me the address of that medical center by text. I'll go ask them myself." "Yes," Vin replies. "And about the social media posts. No one has reported seeing her yet, but I'll keep watching and update you immediately." "Thank you," Jack says quietly. When the door closes behind Vin, the house feels bigger and emptier than usual. Outside, the light is warm. Inside, the air is cold. Jack sits there, elbows on his knees, Vin's words echoing. "She went to a medical center. She didn't tell you." He rubs his face with both hands. How many nights did he come home talking only about budgets and schedules, never once asking more than, "Are you okay?" and accepting her automatic, "I'm fine"? "I've been so careless," he whispers. "She was right next to me and I didn't see anything." His phone buzzes. A text. The address for 135 medical center. Jack snatches up his keys and heads out without another word. Far away, on a long, dusty road, Tu Tien drags her feet along the roadside, breathing hard. Every step sends a dull ache up her legs. Her borrowed sandals rub at her heels, but she keeps going. Wind pushes against her, cold and sharp. The trees thin out. Houses appear. In the distance, she sees something that makes her heart jump. City lights. "That must be the city," she tells herself. If I can just get there, I can borrow a phone, call Jack, and find a way home. She quickens her pace, even though her body protests. Just a few more kilometers, she whispers. You can do this. But when she finally steps off the country road and into the outskirts of town, reality hits. There are more people here, more houses, more noise, but no familiar faces, no one who knows her name. Cars pass by without slowing. The sky is turning the color of steel. I should have asked Grandma for more details, she thinks, picturing the old woman in the forest. I should have asked for clearer directions before I left. At 135 Medical Center, the hallway smells faintly of antiseptic and old paper. Jack stands at the registration desk, Tu Tien's photo pulled up on his phone. Hello, he says, voice low but steady. I'm looking for information about a patient. Her name is Ly Tu Tien. She came here recently. The receptionist glances at the screen, then at him. You are? I'm her boyfriend, Jack replies. She's missing. Please, I just need to know what happened when she was here. The receptionist calls a doctor over. A middle-aged man in a white coat appears, takes the phone, and studies the picture. Yes, the doctor says after checking the computer. She came about 2 weeks ago. Nosebleeds, fatigue, dizziness. We examined her, gave her some basic medicine, but I advised her to go to a higher-level hospital for blood tests. Jack's pulse pounds in his ears. Blood tests, he repeats. For what? We can't say for sure from here, the doctor answers. Her symptoms could be from overwork or something more serious. That's why we told her to go higher, get proper tests. She seemed reluctant. Worried about money, maybe. Jack swallows hard. She didn't come back, did she? The doctor shakes his head. No, not here. Honestly, young man, you should have noticed. Nosebleeds, exhaustion, those aren't small things. The words hit like a slap. I was busy, Jack starts, then stops. Busy. With work, with drawings, with calls. That's not an excuse, he tells himself. Aloud, he says, I didn't know. She didn't tell me. Sometimes people hide their problems so as not to burden those they love, the doctor says quietly. But that's when they need support the most. If she shows up again, take her for a full checkup. Don't let her brush it off. Jack nods numbly. Thank you, doctor. When he steps back outside, the air feels colder than before. Traffic flows by, unaware of the man standing on the sidewalk with guilt burning in his chest. If she was scared, why didn't I see it? He thinks. Was she planning to leave? Did she disappear because she thought she'd drag me down if she got sick? The answers don't come. Only the weight of not asking the right questions when he still had the chance. Back near the city centre, neon lights flicker on one by one. Shops roll up their shutters. The sky is almost fully dark when Tu Tien spots an older man arranging goods at a small roadside stall. She gathers her courage and approaches a younger man leaning against a pole nearby. Excuse me, she says. Is this Tuyen Quang City? How far is it to Kien Thiet from here? He looks her up and down. About 4 or 5 kilometers, he replies. Where did you come from, miss? From up there in the hills, she says. I got lost. She hesitates, then steels herself. Can I borrow your phone for a second? I want to call my boyfriend. He hands her the phone. Her fingers hover over the keypad. She freezes. Jack's number does not appear in her mind. Not the way she needs it now, digit by digit. I can't remember his number, she realizes, panic rising. Why didn't I memorize it? Why did I trust my phone for everything? She racks her brain, desperate, and one number surfaces. Toans. She dials. The call rings once, twice, then fails. No answer, no connection. Try again, the man suggests. She does. Same result. The man takes the phone back with a shrug. The buses down to Tu Tien usually pass in the morning, he tells her. Around 8 or 9, in the afternoon maybe 2 o'clock. After that, only motorbike taxis if you can afford it. How much for a motorbike taxi from here to Tu Tien? She asks. 300,000 to 500,000, he replies. Depends who you ask, depends on the time. Night time it's more. She nods slowly. Her pockets are empty. Her money was taken days ago. She has nothing but the striped shirt, worn sandals, and a body that feels 3 times heavier than usual. Thank you, she says quietly, handing him back the phone. I'll figure something out. She walks away, blending into the flow of strangers. The city is loud, but she feels as if she's underwater. Streetlights glitter like 1,000 distant promises she can't quite touch. Each step hurts. Her head throbs dully where it once hit stone. Her heart aches stronger. Jack, she thinks, staring at the sky between buildings. I'm so close, and still so far. Around her, cars honk, motors roar, people laugh, call, hurry. No one knows that the woman walking past them, hugging herself against the cold, is trying to get home without a single coin or a single phone number she can use. And somewhere in that same city, Jack sits in his parked car outside a clinic, hands gripping the steering wheel, the doctor's words repeating in his head. She was tired, nosebleeds. She needed care. You should have known. 2 souls in the same world, under the same sky, one blaming himself for not seeing, the other blaming herself for not remembering. Both moving blindly through the dark, hoping somehow their paths will still find their way back to each other. Tu Tien drifts toward the edge of the city where the streetlights thin out and the air feels colder. She keeps thinking, maybe if I find a motorbike taxi, I can explain everything and pay later. It's a fragile plan, but it's the only one she has. Near a small intersection, she spots a motorbike taxi driver sitting on his bike, scrolling on his phone. She steps closer, voice polite but urgent. Ang Hoi, she says, can you take me to Tu Tien? How much? The driver looks her over, mud-stained sandals, borrowed shirt, tired eyes. 400,000, he answers without hesitation. Tu Tien swallows. I don't have money right now, she admits quickly. But when I get to Tu Tien, my boyfriend will pay you. I swear, I lost everything. The driver's expression hardens immediately. No, he says. Nighttime, long road, no money. That's how people get tricked. I'm not lying, she insists, hands shaking. I'll call him when we get there. With what phone? He cuts in, nodding at her empty hands. The truth hits her like cold water. She opens her mouth, but nothing comes out. The driver turns away, done with the conversation. Please, she tries once more, softer now. I just want to go home. He shakes his head. Go find a bus tomorrow. Tu Tien steps back, embarrassed and helpless. Around her, people hurry past with shopping bags and warm jackets, too busy to notice the girl standing still like she's been unplugged from the world. Her stomach twists with hunger. She hasn't eaten since earlier that day. She drifts toward a row of small stalls, hoping someone might let her do a little work in exchange for food or a place to sit. A woman selling noodles glances at her. We have enough workers, she says before Tu Tien can finish asking. A man carrying crates waves her away. Go somewhere else, miss. Each rejection chips away at her thin layer of courage. By the time the sky turns fully black, Tu Tien is exhausted. Her legs feel like they're filled with sand. She sits on the edge of a curb, hugging her knees, trying not to cry in the middle of strangers. I'm so close, she whispers. How can I be this close and still not get home? Back at the farm, Jack paces the living room like a trapped man. The house is quiet except for the ticking clock and the soft clink of a spoon as Mother Loy stirs a pot in the kitchen. He can't stop seeing Tu Tien's face the way she looked recently, smiling but not fully present, saying she was fine, saying she was just tired. He had believed her. Now the doctor's words play over and over in his head. Nosebleeds, fatigue, blood tests. Don't take it lightly. Jack presses his palms to his eyes. I was so careless, he says out loud, voice breaking. She went to the medical center alone. She didn't tell me and I didn't notice. Mother steps into the doorway quietly. Did you learn anything? She asks. Jack nods, swallowing hard. She went 2 weeks ago. She had nosebleeds, fatigue. They told her to go for blood tests. Mum, what if it's serious? What if she left because she didn't want to ruin everything? Min Hung, the company, my life. What if she thought she'd be a burden? Mother's face tightens. Tien is strong, she says, but she also carries things alone. That's her weakness, and that's why you have to find her. Jack turns away, voice low. If I find her, he says, I swear I'll never let her hide pain from me again. In his mind, he pictures her walking somewhere cold and empty, hungry, dizzy, trying to be brave. The image makes him feel sick. Please, he whispers to the night outside the window. Just let her be safe. In the city, Tu Tien stands again, forcing herself to move. She follows the flow of people until she reaches a small corner where an old man sits by a little cart, selling odds and ends under a dim light. A tiny charcoal stove glows near his feet, warming his hands. The smell makes her stop. Roasted sweet potato. Her mouth waters instantly. Her throat feels dry. She steps closer, voice barely above a whisper. Sir, do you have water? She asks. Just a small sip. I haven't had anything to drink since morning. The old man looks up, eyes soft. Sit, he says immediately, pointing to a low plastic stool. You look like you're about to fall. He reaches under the cart and hands her a bottle. Tu Tien grabs it with both hands and drinks, greedily at first, then slower as the cold water settles in her stomach. Where are you from, child? He asks. Kien Thiet, she replies, wiping her lips. I'm trying to get home. I got lost. I lost my money. I don't have anyone here. The old man watches her for a moment, then picks up a sweet potato from the coals. Eat this, he says, holding it out, while it's hot. Tu Tien hesitates, pride and shame fighting inside her, but hunger wins. She takes it carefully, hands trembling from exhaustion and cold. Thank you, she whispers. She peels back the blackened skin. Steam rises. The first bite is so warm it almost hurts. Her eyes sting, not only from heat, but from relief. The old man smiles faintly. I'm Mr. Chuan, he says. I sell little things at night. Not much money, but enough to live. You don't need to repay me, just eat. Tu Tien nods, chewing slowly. If I ever come back, she says, I'll buy something from you, I promise. He chuckles. Just go home safely, that's enough. She swallows, then asks softly, Can I help you sweep or clean to pay you back? He waves his hand. No need. You're tired. Rest your legs. The city is cold at night. For a while, Tu Tien just sits there, holding the warm potato, bottle of water beside her, feeling the heat from the small stove seep into her fingers. The street noise feels less sharp here. Under the old man's dim light, she doesn't feel completely invisible. "Many people helped me these days," she murmurs, almost to herself. "A grandma in the forest, and now you." The old man doesn't respond right away. He just nods, as if he understands how life sometimes gives a little light in the darkest places. When she finishes eating, she wipes her hands with a tissue he offers. "Thank you, Mr. Chuan," she says again, standing carefully. "I'll remember this." He hands her the water bottle. "Take it," he says. "You'll need it. Tomorrow you can ask again about buses." Tu Tien bows slightly, holding the bottle like it's precious. "Thank you." She walks away with slow steps, not because she wants to leave, but because she knows she can't stay forever. She finds a stone bench near a quiet stretch of sidewalk and sits down, pulling her striped shirt tighter around her body. The night air bites at her cheeks. Above, city lights glow, but the stars are hidden. She sets the bottle beside her, hugs her knees, tries to keep her eyes open. Her body is too tired. In her mind, Jack's face appears so clearly, it feels cruel. "I miss you," she whispers. "I don't even want anything else. I just want to be in your arms. I just want to go home." She tells herself tomorrow she'll find work, even one day of sweeping or carrying goods, anything to earn enough for a ride. If not, she'll walk. She's already walked so much. The bench is cold under her back when she finally lies down. The sound of passing motorbikes fades, then returns, then fades again. Tu Tien closes her eyes, clutching the water bottle like a small shield. Alone on a city street, she falls into a light, uneasy sleep, hoping the night won't bring danger, hoping morning will bring a path back to Jack, and hoping that whatever illness she tried to hide won't choose this lonely night to strike harder. Jack learns a shocking secret from Mr. Vin. 2 weeks earlier, Tu Tien quietly visited 135 Medical Center and hid it from him. Terrified and guilt-ridden, Jack rushes to the clinic and hears the doctor confirm her symptoms, nosebleeds and extreme fatigue, plus a serious warning to get higher-level blood tests. Jack blames himself for being too focused on work and the Min Hung project to notice what she was carrying alone. Meanwhile, Tu Tien struggles back toward home on foot, finally reaching a city but realizing she's lost, has no money, and can't even remember Jack's phone number to call for help. Rejected by a motorbike taxi driver, she faces a cold night with nowhere to go, until an elderly vendor, Mr. Chuan, offers water and a hot sweet potato. Clutching the bottle like a lifeline, Tu Tien sleeps alone outside, hoping morning brings a safe way back to Jack.